Before we dive into the story, please subscribe to our channel. That would help me a lot, and you are free to change your mind anytime later. Now let's begin the story. It was just another night on the job for me, John Sawyer, a taxi driver in the bustling city of Los Angeles. As I cruised through the neon-lit streets near Club Ecstasy, one of the city's most popular nightclubs, I noticed a couple stumbling out, clearly intoxicated. Duty called, and I pulled over to offer them a safe ride home. Little did I know that this routine pickup would shatter my world. As the couple climbed into the back seat, giggling and whispering sweet nothings to each other, I caught a glimpse of the woman in the rearview mirror. My heart plummeted to my stomach as I recognized her. It was Emily, my beloved wife of 5 years. Emily, the woman I had vowed to love and cherish until the end of time, was locked in a passionate embrace with a stranger. The man, whom I later learned was Derek, a notorious playboy businessman, was running his hands through her silky blonde hair as their lips met in a searing kiss. I felt sick to my stomach, a wave of nausea washing over me as the reality of the situation sank in. My Emily, the kind-hearted school teacher who had stolen my heart with her infectious laughter and unwavering compassion, was cheating on me, right before my eyes. Memories of our happier times together flooded my mind, mocking me with their bittersweet reminiscence. I recalled the day we first met at a cozy coffee shop, her radiant smile instantly captivating me. I remembered the night I proposed, getting down on one knee in the park where we had shared our first kiss, the moonlight reflecting in her tear-filled eyes as she said, "Yes." Those memories now felt like a cruel joke, a facade that had been shattered by the sight of my wife in the arms of another man. As they continued their lewd display in the back seat, oblivious to my presence, I contemplated confronting them right then and there. But the rational part of me knew that it would be futile. They were both too inebriated to grasp the gravity of the situation. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, I followed Derek's slurred directions and dropped them off at a luxurious apartment complex in the heart of downtown. As they stumbled out of the car, Emily's wedding ring glinting in the streetlights, I felt a piece of my soul shatter. The drive back home was a blur, the streets blending together as my mind replayed the scene over and over again. How could she do this to me? To us? We had built a life together, a future filled with dreams and promises. And now, it all seemed like a cruel lie. As I stepped into our once-loving home, the silence was deafening. The pictures adorning the walls, capturing our happiest moments, now felt like mockeries of the love I thought we shared. I sank into the couch, burying my face in my hands as the tears finally broke free, cascading down my cheeks in a torrent of anguish. The woman I had loved with every fiber of my being had betrayed me in the most gut-wrenching way imaginable. That night, as I lay awake in our bed, the empty space beside me a constant reminder of the void in my heart. I knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The life I had built, the love I had cherished, had been torn apart by a single act of infidelity. As the first rays of dawn peeked through the curtains, I made a vow to myself. I would find a way to make them pay for the pain they had inflicted upon me. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound, leaving me hollow and consumed by an unquenchable thirst for vengeance. In the days that followed, I found myself spiraling into a dark abyss of anger and resentment. The once happy memories of Emily and I were now tainted, each recollection a bitter reminder of the life I had lost. The laughter that had once filled our home was replaced by a suffocating silence, broken only by the occasional crash of a hurled object against the wall. I tried to confront Emily, but she seemed oblivious to the turmoil raging within me. She went about her days as if nothing had changed, her radiant smile a mockery of the trust she had shattered. It was as if the night I had witnessed her indiscretion had been erased from her memory, or perhaps she simply didn't care. As the weeks passed, my desire for retribution grew stronger, consuming my every waking thought. I knew that I couldn't let them get away with what they had done, not without facing consequences. It was then that I stumbled upon a lead. Derek, the man who had been tangled in Emily's embrace that fateful night, was a regular at Club Ecstasy. A well-known playboy with a penchant for lavish parties and beautiful women, he seemed to have a never-ending stream of conquests. I began to frequent the club, blending into the shadows and observing Derek's every move. I learned his routines, his preferences, and the intricate web of deceit that he had spun. As I delved deeper into his world, I discovered that he was more than just a wealthy businessman. He was involved in embezzlement, siphoning funds from his company to fuel his extravagant lifestyle. A plan began to form in my mind, a twisted scheme fueled by my thirst for vengeance. I would infiltrate Derek's inner circle, gaining his trust under the guise of a false identity. Once I had wormed my way into his confidence, I would gather enough evidence to expose his illegal dealings and bring about his downfall. Donning a carefully crafted persona, I introduced myself to Derek as John Sire, a wealthy entrepreneur seeking new business ventures. With a charismatic smile and a knack for spinning tales, I quickly caught his attention, and before long, we were meeting regularly to discuss potential investments. As our friendship blossomed, I learned more about Derek's sordid affairs, including his dalliance with Emily. It seemed that their encounter at the club had been more than a one-night stand. Emily had been seduced by Derek's promises of lavish gifts and financial support for her struggling school. The revelation left me reeling, my heart shattering all over again. The woman I had loved, the woman I had vowed to cherish and protect, had sold herself for material gain. The depth of her betrayal was unfathomable, and it only fueled my desire for vengeance. As I grew closer to Derek, I began to gather evidence of his illegal activities, meticulously documenting every shred of information that could be used against him. Late nights were spent poring over financial records and surveillance footage, piecing together the intricate puzzle of his crimes. Little did I know, however, that my own actions had not gone unnoticed. Emily, ever the perceptive woman, had become suspicious of my sudden change in behavior. She had begun to investigate on her own, following breadcrumbs that led her closer and closer to the truth. It was a dangerous game I was playing, a delicate balance between seeking justice and risking exposure. With each passing day, the stakes grew higher, and the lines between right and wrong blurred. As I continued to infiltrate Derek's inner circle, the evidence against him mounted. Financial records, incriminating emails, and surveillance footage all painted a damning picture of his illegal activities. With each new piece of information, my thirst for vengeance grew stronger, fueling my determination to bring him down. However, Emily's suspicions about my behavior continued to escalate. I could sense her watchful gaze following me, her eyes narrowed with doubt. She had always been perceptive, able to read me like an open book. It was only a matter of time before she uncovered the truth about my involvement with Derek. The tension between us reached a boiling point when Emily confronted me one evening, her voice laced with a mixture of anger and concern. She demanded to know what I was hiding, her eyes searching mine for answers. In that moment, I was faced with a choice: come clean about my plot for revenge or continue down the treacherous path I had embarked upon. The weight of my decision hung heavy in the air, the consequences of either option potentially catastrophic. Ultimately, I decided to reveal the truth, the heartbreaking discovery of her infidelity, the vengeful plan I had set in motion against Derek, and the web of deceit I had uncovered surrounding his illegal activities. As the words tumbled from my lips, Emily's face contorted in a myriad of emotions: shock, disbelief, and finally, a flicker of remorse. To my surprise, Emily confessed that her involvement with Derek had been a calculated move, a desperate attempt to secure financial support for her struggling school. The budget cuts had been crippling, and Derek's promises of lavish gifts and funding had seemed like a lifeline. In that moment, I was faced with a moral dilemma. Should I forgive Emily for her betrayal, understanding the noble intentions behind her actions? Or should I allow my thirst for vengeance to consume me, seeking retribution against the man who had facilitated her deception? As I wrestled with this internal conflict, a plan began to form, one that could potentially satisfy both my desire for justice and Emily's need for financial support. With a newfound determination, I proposed a daring scheme. I would confront Derek at Club Ecstasy, the very place where our paths had first crossed, and present him with an ultimatum: use the evidence of his embezzlement to secure funding for Emily's school, or face the consequences of his illegal activities being exposed. Emily, torn between her love for me and her dedication to her students, agreed to the plan, albeit with trepidation. The night of the confrontation was tense, the air thick with anticipation. As Derek swaggered into the dimly lit club, surrounded by his entourage of sycophants and hangers-on, I steeled my nerves, ready to put our plan into motion. When the moment arrived, I stepped forward, the weight of the evidence in my hands. Derek's smug expression faltered as I laid out the undeniable proof of his crimes, his facade of confidence crumbling before our eyes. In a desperate attempt to maintain control, Derek lashed out, hurling insults and threats, but I remained steadfast. I presented him with the ultimatum: secure the funding for Emily's school, or face the consequences of his misdeeds being exposed to the authorities. For a brief moment, it seemed as if Derek would refuse, his arrogance overshadowing his better judgment. But as the gravity of the situation sank in, he realized that he had been outmaneuvered. With a resigned sigh, he agreed to the terms, promising to transfer the necessary funds to the school's account. In that moment, a sense of relief washed over me. Justice had been served, and Emily's noble intentions had been vindicated. However, The victory was bittersweet, for the trust between us had been irreparably shattered. As Derek slunk away, his power and influence diminished, Emily turned to me, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and sorrow. She understood that our marriage could not survive the betrayal, no matter how noble her intentions had been. With heavy hearts, we agreed to part ways, our paths diverging after years of shared love and commitment. Emily would remain at the school, her dedication to her students unwavering, while I would embark on a new journey, my taxi once again my constant companion. As I drove away from Club Ecstasy for the last time, the neon lights fading in the rearview mirror, I couldn't help but reflect on the twisted path that had led me to this point. Revenge had been a powerful motivator, but in the end, it had only served to further fracture the life I had once known. Yet, amidst the pain and heartbreak, I found a glimmer of solace in the knowledge that justice had prevailed. Emily's school would continue to flourish, and the students would benefit from the resources they so desperately needed. And as for me, I would carry on, navigating the familiar streets of Los Angeles, my heart a little wiser and my spirit a little stronger. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel. That would help me a lot. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.